Hello, I'm DeathSeeker512. In today's tutorial, we're going to be setting up the base mod class. And what the base mod class is the class that Forge actually loads and calls to, and this is where you have to register all your other classes. So, in the package explorer, click the arrow and then click source. Yeah. And then hit the new Java class. And for the package, you want to have, if you're actually making a mod, suggestions are like your name and then your mod's name, or your name.minecraft.your mod name. But because this is just a tutorial and you're learning how to do this, I'm just going to put like tut.mod. And then for the name of the class, I'm just going to put tutorial. If I can spell. And hit finish. Now once that's done, it'll make another package as you see here. And if you're wondering how I got it to look like this, as opposed to have a bunch of other ones, you can click this arrow and go to package presentation and click hierarchical, whatever. Yeah. So first things first, I gotta tell you something about like Java. Java's can't keep doing that. Case sensitive, if you don't know. So like if you have a variable, yeah, and you call it later in the, and if you were to call it later in the program, and you call it like with a capital V, yeah, these are not the same variables. These are two completely different things. So make sure you have capital letters where they need to be. Now that that's taken care of, you're going to have to import several things. So you import things by typing import, and then we're going to need cpw dot, this is a GPW thing? I didn't know that. Wait, cpw dot mods dot fml ml dot common dot mod, and then you can copy this line. How many times? We're gonna need dot .NET. We are going to need dot instance. We are going to need the dot post-init, and we are going to need dot pre-init. Another thing we're going to have to import is cpw.mods. What was it? .fml dot cited proxy. Wait. Common dot cited proxy. We are also going to need cpw.mods.fml.common.event. Don't forget about the dot event dot FML initialization event. Yeah. Then we are also going to need CP cpw dot mods dot fml dot common dot event dot sorry dot fml post initialization event, and might as well just copy that line, and instead of post, pre. Another thing we're going to need, and actually the last thing we're going to need for this tutorial, is cpw.mods.fml.common.network mod. Yeah. And so what import does is whenever it imports it, it calls the class that it's importing. That way you can use the public methods in it, or variables, and so on. So now that that's done, another thing we're going to have to do is put add mod with a capital M, and then parentheses, and mod ID equals, and then the name of the mod, and then name equals mod. Wait, tutorial. My bad. Just also the same thing, and then the version equals, and then a string of version. So what I like to do is, this is the first year I'm working on it, and this is, I haven't worked on it on 0 months, and then it's the 0, well, it's not really, but I've worked on it 0 days this month, and this is the build number, well, 0, since it hasn't been released, or, well, built actually. So then we want the add another annotation, which if it starts with an @ sign, it's an annotation, and we're going to need network mod, and then parentheses, and in here we're going to need client side and required, and equals true, and then server side required equals false. And so what this means is, like, if there's a server and, well, if the client is trying to connect to a server, the server will make sure, will see if this is true, the server will see if the client has the mod, and if the client does have the mod, then the client can connect. If they don't, then they can't. And then what this is the exact same thing, but on the client side. So if the server doesn't have the mod, then the client cannot connect. Usually this will just be false, and a lot of times this will be true. But yeah, so under here, what we're going to need is the an instance annotation, and then in here we're going to need the mod name. So in this case it's tutorial. Then underneath here we're going to need public static And then the name of this class, which in this case is tutorial. And then you can have this whatever you want to name it, but make sure it's the same for any time you want to call it. So underneath this, we are going to have 3 more annotations. So pre, init, and then wow, then and just init, and then post init. So underneath the pre-init, we want to have public void, and then pre-init, and then here we want to have fml pr, this one. And then you can name it whatever you want, but make sure inside here you have it the same. So I'm just going to have it as event. And then you want the squarely brackets, or I just usually call them braces. But since most people call them squarely brackets, I'm just going to go with that. So in this one we need public void, just load, and then fml initialization and event. Actually, it's pretty much just the same thing. And then let me get rid of this and get rid of pre, and after this event, and then squarely brackets, and underneath this one I'm going to let you guess. Wow, you probably guessed correctly. It's public void post init, and then fml post initialization event yay. So if we want to actually, I'll do that in a, yeah, so if you want to see if this is actually loading, what we could do is we could put a for loop, then int I equals 0, I is less than 11, I plus plus, and then in here we have system dot out dot print line, and then don't misspell anything, and then you can click this, the drop down arrow, and then click client and hit OK. I'm actually going to check this, but then hit OK. Then it'll launch, and on here, which is where the console is, we get to see it do everything. So what we are trying to find is when it counts what? I'll be back in a second. Well, that was definitely interesting, but fixed the problem. You guys probably didn't have a problem, but again, my computer's just weird. So if we run this now, that comes up. But of course, if you've ever worked with Forge before, you know that that's supposed to happen. Now, anyways. And then Minecraft comes up. I'm just going to minimize it for a second. And It loaded the recipes. It let's see here. If we see here, it says activating mod tutorial, and then here it says tutorial loaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There. So now that that works, and we know that the mod's getting loaded, and if we wait for Minecraft to come up and then go into mods, we can see that the tutorial mod has been loaded, and therefore, well, actually that's it. So, hit done, hit quit, and here's where we're going to do a few more things. We are going to add the proxies for this. Now, what comes to mind whenever someone says proxy is you're thinking of like they're using a proxy so that their IP doesn't actually connect to the server that they're connecting to, and it's jumping in between. Well, in the same sense, we're using it that way as well, as like a redirect. So what we're going to be doing with the proxies is we're going to redirect where Minecraft is going to load the textures for our mod. So it's quite simple, really. We are going to have to make 2 more classes. The first class, we're just going to name it common proxy. And hit finish. Now the second one we're going to be doing is we're going to go to where it says package, hit dot, and put client, and then here we're going to put client proxy and hit finish. Now in the common proxy we are going to put public static string, and then we are going to do items underscore PNG, right? Yeah. So and we're going to set that equal to /tut / mod. So like I said earlier, if I haven't said it, then I'm sorry for assuming that I said it earlier. What each dot represents is another folder. So if I open up the shell and go to the and then go into source, and then Minecraft, and then if you notice here we have a folder named tut, and then in this folder there's another folder named mod, tut mod, and in here, oh wow, we have another folder, client, and we have commonproxy.java and tutorial.java. Now if I do this, you can see it's the class that we have been working on. So let me just exit out of this. So tut mod slash uh, hmm, items.png, and we are going to make another one, but instead of items in this one, we're going to have it blocks, or and then page reference there. And then we're going to have to put in a method under here, and it's going to be public void, and then we're going to do register renders. Now we're not actually going to put anything under it in this class, so copy that and put wow, I can't think right now. Okay, and put an annotation that with the capital O, and it's going to be override, and underneath it just paste that, Control Shift F, and then here we're going to have to do extends common proxy, and Control Shift O to import that if you're using Eclipse, of course. And then underneath here we are going to have to put Minecraft Forge client dot preload, this always happens whenever okay, preload texture, and then we are going to do items, and copy and paste that, instead of items, blocks. And so you're probably wondering, but wait, I didn't declare this variable here. Well, that's because it extends common proxy, therefore it inherits everything from this class file. So if this is in here and it's public, that means that whenever, wow, that this class can call anything from this class. And let's save that and get rid of this for loop, because there's really no reason for it to be there. It's just to make sure that it was loading. And then format everything. Okay, and well, that's it for today's tutorial. If this tutorial helped you at all, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it. Bye!